Jeje Domba Chancho Semba Namje Sha Pabe Kansa Namje Jab Nyangye Len Debe Chongkire Den Chowa Namje Debon Ije Bade Meba Boba Samje Mejab Meje Ba Koda Zomba Meba Doba Da Magwe Ba Soda Genjewa Magwe Ba Someba Dada Mande Ba Dongara Dale Namba Pungwe Dale Rade Nambra Jawa Kanam Da Mede Ba Jenje Nam Deba Nam Shende Jeba Yonze Druwa Dal Nambra Jaba Siba Len Jawa Shewe Len Kawa Ije Yonze Deba da majemba da tada jeve sanje jamdende namje yije lande nyangele deba la mine ba yanda ba nije thale ne ba semje damje sigbe salai dedo ne sanje jamdende Kujeve yende yanda ba na zo dambe jene tamara gewa barde geba tamara gewa Zamba Zendre Zamba Majemba Yonza Zaba Yonza Daba Yonza Jawa Chamden Dije Chalik Bras Yandaba Nowa Nemeba Dechewa Meba Nyewa Damba Detonwala Deyaba Keba Naje Suzara Riba Jawa Chamden Dije Zambe Chadua Neba Damba Nyewa Jawa Zobe Chanjo Dan Chawa Medemba meje deba dan deba demba yawan jawa jawa oe deba jembe kinde lebra jaba dembra jaba tambra jaba dambra jaba tamay jabe oze chajabe oze jawa sana ye paje shin yonsan jawa jembe nezen jawa yang kunde jembe ne jawa jembo Chandra Vadan Jeje Shabanan Jisa Yaran Gayazawa Yewa Junzin Dagi Jisa Bandam Jenzo Chandra Jenwa Sashe Bashi Jongshe Mendan Radira Leje Nyende Nyemba Sanje Shinda Mende Bruwa Joga Namda Jinlan Jaba Zemje Namje Zamba Loye Jeda Jeda Chejo Duman Deba Yen Jeje Wala Gorando
Very good afternoon, and good occasion to all the viewers from to wherever you are, and yes, and so therefore I would like to take this opportunity to wish you, all of you, a very good occasion, of course, and through this very precious Buddha Dharma, may we all accumulate enough merit or immense merit to awake all sentient beings. So, having said that, we are all here to do something. Yes, I was wondering about that. Yes. Yes. Yes, you did.
I gave it to you on the
Oh.
presents.
Okay. Yes. Yes. And?
And now you don't have it.
No, it was me. Cái đồn thì mà cái xong thì tôi cái gì cái đó dùng từ dài. Oh, madam. No battery. I just wear it. No battery. Sorry. Okay. Great. Now we have come to the 8th chapter of Shantideva's guide to the Bodhisattva's way, and I'm quite intrigued as to how all of you are intrigued, or how much you were intrigued in this practice. It all kind of depends directly, of course, on how much you were able to spend time with this literature. In terms of who is Shantideva, which is the author of this literature. You can all Google up and find out many fascinating things, historical things, non-historical things, and you can have a wonderful time. Beside that, there are obviously to most of us, know that there are 10 chapters in this Bodhicaryavatara, in this literature. And I don't know if it is designed by himself or like how my predecessor or teacher, one of the many great inspirational beings, the late Dorje, said that although there are chapters like these, boxed in accordance with our contemporary mind or according to our emotions, such literature cannot be really boxed in 10 chapters. And so therefore, it's probably correct to say that these 10 chapters of this particular literature is designed probably for our benefit. And like our late teacher Dorje said, probably these were designed by their secretaries. He used to love using that word secretary. In Tibetan, zhongyi, meaning I may not be accurate, but saying his or hers, meaning somebody who had spent enough time with a person, and then spend enough time to kind of understand what he or she must have been trying to say, and almost intuitively, and therefore, since they are very busy, of course, with their work, then they kind of have to interpret what they are trying to say in various ways. In the case of Shantideva, I don't know if he had secretaries. As we would all like to know, he's supposed to be one of the Mahasiddhas. Yes. So Mahasiddhas may not have had secretaries. Yes. But nevertheless, yes, it's an interesting way to put it, even from an academical point of view, to say editor, secretary, whatever we have. Because you can never understand what someone's really thinking, of course. Yeah. But nevertheless, the consistency of someone's feeling, someone's understanding is such that there is a sense of consistency, and therefore, however much time we have spent with that person, we could almost feel like I understand that person. And so therefore, either through translation, either through various different kinds of conveyance, the point is, we have this literature, Yeah. And we can probably forget all the troubles that went through to receive all these sort of transmissions of literature by thinking, well, it is as simple as using Google Translation or something, chat, PGT or GPT or whatever, all that. But nevertheless, the point is, it's here. And it has taken a great journey to be here with us. And so for that, I think we have to be very, very appreciative, to say the least. And beside that, it's completely up to ourselves in terms of how we would like to make use of it. So now, here, we kind of feel like we have arrived to a certain chapter. That's how we would like to feel. Yes? To a certain box, you know. We have 10 boxes, let's say, on the table, and we have opened all the boxes, all the previous boxes, and now we have come to the 8th box. And we are kind of hoping for something more interesting, you know, more sugary or maybe more spice, whatever we would like. And the thing about, from my childish point of view, is that if we are forgetful of the previous chapters, starting from the very first, you know, it's kind of impossible to say, you know, there is a particular 8th box, you know. It's almost impossible. Yeah. And it's kind of a lead-up story, if you like stories. So therefore, there is no particular box. I mean, everyone would like to, I mean, those who know, everyone can hear me, right? No. I can hear myself very... Yeah? Okay. Okay, good. So, where was I? Yes. Those who are literate, then everyone would like to jump directly into the 9th chapter. Yeah. Mahamudra, you know, yeah, and so on. Dzogchen, you know, Umachambo and all that. To be honest, I don't know any of those things. Yeah. I'm probably a little bit more familiar with the previous chapters, and this chapter is probably my last. And I would like to sort of ask someone else to complete that 9th chapter, you know. And I could be kidding. I wish I was kidding. But it's a fact, yes. So therefore, yes. Yes, the 7th chapter was very enjoyable for me, and so is the 8th chapter. So will the 8th chapter will be in the next coming days and so on. But we don't have to, what I'm trying to say is that we don't have to be afraid of the 9th chapter, because there is probably a certain amount of anxiety about the 9th chapter. it's something that we are looking forward to, yet at the same time, do we really want to go into that? And so what I'm trying to say is that if you try to remember the very first chapter and all the way till this chapter, Shantideva is immensely kind, And then through Shantideva, we are able to understand all the other Bodhisattvas too, like himself. Although different in temperament, different in character, different in personality, they are trying to convey that actually it's not that difficult to awake ourselves. And right. So, yes, it's not that difficult. It seems difficult, probably for some of us. We are so used to thinking that in order to achieve something important, something meaningful, not just important, but something really meaningful, you need to put a lot of time and energy to achieve it. So, therefore, we may be stuck there, and therefore think that in order to, for example, awake ourselves, it's a very tough process. But if you really read the Bodhicaryavatara on a daily basis, not in an intensive way, where you want to finish reading the book in, in a few hours or a few days or something, then actually it would be, you would not understand much, in short. I'm not trying to promote Tibetan medicine or herbal medicine. Herbal medicine, the way I understand it, I'm not a doctor, okay? Is that the way it works is that it doesn't stay in your body once you take it, like many other medications. Not that I have anything against other medications. The herbal medicines, I think the way they work is that you take it today and immediately it gets flushed out, right away. And therefore you don't feel the effect. And another day, the same thing happens, And another day, another day, another day, another day. And you heard that? Maybe that's a sense of conspiracy, I don't know. Oh, that's me. Anyway, maybe it's the iPad. Anyway, that's the way I understand. I'm sure there are many of you who are more literate in medicine, and so therefore you will know more, you know. And so therefore, correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, that's the way I understood 8 days ago. Which is that when you take really natural medicines, is that it does its job right there, right then, and it gets flushed out. That's it. It doesn't linger in your body. Done. And so therefore, what does that say? Is that you have to develop a relationship, you know? And so therefore, it's the Tibetan saying is that, oh, if you take Tibetan medicine, you have to take it for a long time in order for it to work. That doesn't mean that it enters into your body, stays in your body, and you have to keep accumulating to a point where it's substantial enough to flesh out the disease. I don't think so. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the other way, where it gets flushed out so easily. And then again, repetition. And to a point where your body kind of accommodates this flushing system and gets used to it. And then after some time, well, it could be a long time, then your body is kind of adjusted, and then you don't have to take it anymore. Yeah. Whereas if the medication, the substance should stay, you know, from a physical point of view, stay there for some time, we don't know how long that is, then just like a visitor, I would say, then we have to kind of accommodate, you know, for their fooding and lodging and this and that. And then so many things take place. Anyway, coming back, yes, actually, why did I start saying all this? Reading Shantideva, yes. The most obvious one, yes. Reading Shantideva. So therefore, it gets flushed out immediately. And so therefore, we have to keep reading. Yes. Okay. Is it my phone?
No, this.
Okay. 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 So, yes, Shantideva keeps getting flushed out. I have to recite 108 times of Bodhisattva mantra to compensate that, for the fact that I said that. So, yes, we have to kind of develop a relationship, you know, with this literature. There are certain kind of literatures, but not, I suppose we can put it as literature, maybe as advice, manual guide. There are certain things like that where it's kind of different from this literature. But this one, the Bodhicaryavatara, is more of, I'm just probably repeating myself to those years who have practiced and studied this literature over many times. But there could be a possibility that many of you who are not, who are maybe hearing it for the first several times. And so that's why I'm just repeating. And particularly, since we have that thing, there could be also a lot of newcomers. That's why I'm saying this. So, yes, we need to kind of develop a relationship with it. Yeah, it's not going to take hold of you as if it's some sort of a foreign entity, you know, and change the very course of your being and so on. No. It's something similar to what I said yesterday about, I didn't use the word yesterday, nudging. Or probably I used the word stirring. It's probably something to do with that. So maybe today I can use the word nudging. And so by nudging, the more we read this literature, the more we will get nudged. And as a result, then we may feel some sense of being, well, stirred up, of course. Probably that's a good word, stirred up. Not necessarily, woken up, but stirred up for sure. In the form of being a bucket of water being splashed on the face, or sprayed on, or simply being shaken, something happens. And we don't necessarily have a guarantee, that's the thing, yes. That's the first thing to acknowledge and to accept. Whether we will be really, really woken up, or others will be woken up. So, there is that sense of gamble, yes. But it's not completely gambling also. Yeah. Meaning, to individuals who are growing up physically, babies, or infants, or toddlers, I'm strictly speaking from a point of view of probably supporting them, the idea of supporting them and letting them grow, well, not to say sooner, but somehow supporting them, yes. There are times where certain parents may be quite persistent in a way. And so therefore, the methods may vary, of course, and the methods that I know personally were such that it's kind of cultural, of course, and therefore if you compare it to the modern way or the contemporary way of schooling or educating, it may seem a bit backward, one could say, yes. But I've said it in the past that no matter how physically small we are or mentally still growing, nevertheless we can understand where that kind of tough schooling comes from, where it's stemming from, whether it's coming from a good intention or not. Yeah? So, from that sense, it's not a helpless state, I think. So, therefore, now I'm trying to connect that story with the nudging story. That in order to wake ourselves up, or others up, the nudging is, in short, important or necessary. But at the same time, it differs from individual to another in terms of the people we're trying to wake up. At the same time, the individuals who are trying to wake up also, the other side. So, the reason why I say this is simply to state that it really depends how graceful we are. If we are graceful enough, great, But it's possible that we are not that graceful. We can be quite stubborn, and I'm sure there are lots of wonderful English words which doesn't come to my mind right now. I wish I could borrow some of yours. I wish I could read his mind and use the infinite vocabularies, I love your words. But it doesn't come to me. So I'll just resort to whatever I have. So, yes, we can be quite blunt about it in terms of educating others or stirring others to wake up, And yes, one could say it's a kind of a gamble. I wouldn't even say 50-50, although I'm not in favor of 50-50. Because 50-50 just simply, to me, sounds like 0 and 100. So I would rather like to go towards 49 and the opposite. What is the other number? 51. That's it, yes. The smallest margin. So, yes. But nevertheless, there is something about attempting that, I think, taking that courage, even though it'll be a great risk, doing that. But I'm not saying this. I have to be very careful, of course, from the platform where I am standing on. I have to be very careful of what I say, particularly if that thing is there and this thing is attached to me. Yes, we have to be careful. Parental guide, if you will. So, now going back all the way, back to Shantideva, to this literature, is that all of those wonderful things that we would like to realize, understand, all of it is there. All we need to do is just read the book. Nothing else. Yes. The translations are quite good, There are a number of translations and they are quite good. And it will be, if there was only one translation, maybe one could say, but there are enough already. I'm not saying they are all it, not because of the translation itself, but for the fact that the structure of language is so different from simply from how it sounds like, yes. But all that can be solved through enough reading, actually. And then, now when you read, there is a thing, of course, which is, I think, described according to some of the basic ways of incorporating a Buddhist practice or literature, which says that you have to, in short, kind of empty your mind in a way, meaning whatever philosophies and ideas and everything that you have for this one instance, because we're not going to lose anything, but for this one moment during the reading process, we kind of let go all of that, and as if we are reading it for the first time, provided that we have some linguistic skills, of course, to understand it. So then from that point of view, then we read and read and read, yes? And so the more we read, the more we will understand. Not understand, I don't know, whichever way. And so what it will do is that because of that attitude that we are hungry, it's like sort of being on a diet of some kind, And there's an interesting thing that it says that practicing in the early morning is very productive. Why? It's strange. Normally our stomach should not interfere with our practice, or hunger should not interfere with our practice. We are supposed to think that part of the organ or the digestive system has nothing to do with it. It's all about this and this, But it can be very surprising because there is something to do with hunger. There is something to do with probably one could say, good diet, And so therefore, skipping dinner, I'm not the example of it. If I were, then that's that. So therefore, yes, there is something to do with that appetite. Yes, appetite. Yes. That first thing in the morning, before, you may brush, you may shower, but it's optional. Yes. The first thing you do is, when you wake up, if you are kind of able to think of, for example, this very literature, yes, it's strange. That sense of hunger, it can translate, it can open up in things in ways that we could not imagine. Yes. And so therefore, we don't know if it's something to do with the astrological aspect of lives or things or anything. Yeah. It's just something aligns with that. And so therefore, if the first thing that you read is this, or the first thing that you do is your daily practice or something. Not necessarily this, or that it could be very well the very practice that you do on a daily basis. It enters into you. Yeah. Remember, yesterday I didn't really explain much, comment much on the Abhisheka, but I kind of assumed that everyone would know by now. And so therefore, normally during the time of Abhisheka, if we are hungry, it's kind of good, because when you're hungry, then you are more productive in a way. You're looking for ways to find something to put in, So similarly, yes, if this liturgy can be your breakfast, great, really. Then the croissants you will eat, or the chapati you will eat, would be very, very delicious. Yes. So, yes, that's something that I wanted to say for some time. So yes, the 8th chapter, not the 9th chapter, the 8th chapter, that of a subject that is very widely spoken in many different corners of the world, where Buddhism has come into being. Dhyana, jhana, samadhi, shamatha, samten, shine, shamatha, chan, zen. I'm sure there are many more other terms. In ancient Persia, I think there were very interesting terms too. Yes. And so, yes, this is the subject that we are on. Yes. And it's kind of like a borderline subject, one could say. It's kind of like a build-up to the 9th chapter. But I love the way Shantideva puts it, but it's not just him, of course. All his predecessors and contemporaries and his followers have understood the point that we cannot box, compartmentalize, yes, the consciousness or the mind. Impossible. Yeah. We would like to, we would love to, and then forego the previous paramitas, although Shantideva doesn't put it in a way, doesn't convey it in a way in terms of paramita, but it's there, of course. We can compartmentalize it in that way, yes. So, it's beautiful, I think. And the more you read, the more you will understand that it's the simple things. Yeah. To understand jhana or samadhi or shamatha, it consists of all the previous chapters, all of them, starting from the very first. Yeah. And if you understand it that way, then you would see that the similar pattern, that each chapter doesn't really talk about the very chapter. It talks about all the other chapters, And in this way, probably we can prepare ourselves for the 9th chapter without too much anxiety. Because 9th chapter is supposed to be was regarded as the most crucial chapter, and where we have great debates and most amazing arguments and so on. Yeah. And I'm very, very afraid of the 9th chapter. So I'm kind of happy that there is 150 plus verses on this chapter, so that we can postpone the 9th chapter, ironically, you know. So, yes, that's there, yes. So, Sam 10, that's the popular term that we have in Tibetan when we look at this chapter from a Tibetan perspective. I don't quite know what is the English equivalent to that. Oh yes, this translated from the Sanskrit and Tibetan by Venice A. Wallace and B. Allen Wallace. Chapter 8 is the perfection of meditation. Yes. So just like that, there are, I'm sure, many other translations. Meditative concentration is another. Yeah. So that's where we are today. Would you like to start with a few questions, or should I start with the reading? No. What? D3? Yeah. Read, yes, very good. Read. So, no, reading is actually the best thing that we have. So, I will try to read from the Tibetan. And then from there, I will try to read the English translations. So far, I think we have 2 translations. Yes. Liu Jeba, something temba, Tetara, Jundri Jenene, in Tingin Zenaja, Semen number in Menumon Chevi Tanan. Ludang Semle Bembayet, number Yuan Mijong, Devin Jitem Panjajan, number Topa Yonsutor, Chapin, Chirdan Yesola, 7 Jitem Mepond, even the Dayumbun, Kepen the Tarjebacha. Shine Rabdu Dembelando Gunumon, number Jambrekage, non Tomer, Shine, Sajatiane, Jitin Chapa Mela, Ungan Drup. Meta, Sushi Metala, Yanda, Chapa Chepayu, in the Serapon to the Dupan Tomer Yominju, Mantona, Ganmenju. Nyamjo Minjula, Tongyang, Number Minju, I didn't sip it on Manju. Semjan Namla Chajana, Yandanula, Kunil, Joyce, Janji project, Tamanyang and Donju. Tell us Sembambashi Sene, Sendi, Demen Dawanju. Tava Mepin that you don't Chujan Jibanju. So that's till the 7th verse. So, now from this translation it says, of course, meditative concentration, cultivating diligence as just described. In concentration, I will place my mind For those whose minds are slack and wandering, are caught between the fangs of the affliction. In solitude, the mind and body are not troubled by distraction. Therefore, leave this worldly life and totally abandon mental wandering. Because of loved ones and desire for gain, we fail to turn away from worldly things. These, then, are the first things to renounce. The prudent should conduct themselves like this. Penetrative insight joined with calm abiding utterly eradicates afflicted states. Knowing this, first search for calm abiding found by people who are happy to be free from worldly ties. Beings brief, ephemeral, who strongly cling to what is also transient, will catch no glimpse of those they love for many thousands of their future lives. Sorry for my punctuation. Not seeing them, their minds will have no joy. They therefore will not rest in equanimity. But even if they see them, they are not content, and as before, the pain of longing stays. If I crave for other beings, a veil is cast upon the truth, perfect truth. Wholesome delusion melts away, and finally there comes the sting of pain. Yes. So that's the seventh. There's another one. Upon developing zeal in that way, one should stabilize the mind in meditative concentration, since a person whose mind is distracted lives between the fangs of mental afflictions. The bodily and mental seclusion, distraction does not arise. Therefore, upon renouncing the world, one should renounce discursive thoughts. On account of attachment and craving for gain and the like, one does not renounce the world. Thus, upon forsaking them, the wise should contemplate in this way. Realizing that one is one who is well endowed with insight through kwasyans, eradicates mental afflictions, one should first seek kwasyans. Kwasyans is due to detachment towards the world and due to joy. 3 kwasyans is already making me think of croissants. How do I pronounce this? Kwa? For what impermanent person who will not see his loved ones again in thousands of births, is it appropriate to be attached to impermanent things? Failing to see them, one does not find joy, nor does one abide in meditative concentration, even upon seeing them. One does not become satisfied, but is tormented by strong desire, just as before. Oh yes, it is Alan. One does not perceive reality and loses illusionment with a cycle of existence. One is consumed by that grief, desire for the company of the beloved. Yes. I was trying to focus mainly on the punctuation that couldn't understand the meaning from an English point of view. But nevertheless, I will get back on track when I read the Tibetan. Yes, so the joyful effort, yes, enthusiasm, all that thing that I said, was it last year? Was it the year before? Oh, last year, yeah, okay. Yes, it all connects to that, you see. Paramitas, or the mechanisms of the very vehicle, they're all interlinked, one could say, interdependent. And so therefore, the very means, meaning, you know. And so therefore, you cannot have jhana alone, you know, or the 9th chapter alone, taking care of everything, and have the rest of the 5 paramitas as sidekicks. They are all basically the same thing. Yeah. It's just, if you like story, yes, that's what I was trying to say yesterday. If you like story, then that's it. Then, from a linear point of view, then it's probably most appropriate to put together from a point of view that the first thing comes is generosity, you know. Basically, it's another way of talking about jhana. One cannot be generous if there is not some sense of jhana, you know. Like a bird, let's say. They have no notions about paramitas, but they would kind of look around and pluck out one feather and throw in front of you, you know. And it comes, and and from my point of view is that there is something, yes. We can call the animals, I don't know, ignorant, stupid, and so on and so forth. But probably the only word that we have that is close, as close as possible, a word that is from a human point of view, a human word that is equivalent, or not even equivalent, but remotely close to jhana in this case, is consciousness maybe, you know. That thing, that bird, has a mind or a consciousness or something, and therefore they're able to do that. Yeah. So, yes. So in that way, then probably we can relate to the idea that it's very wholesome. It's not, separate boxes. You know. The moment we speak about generosity, immediately we are referring, probably in an indirect way, or even in a direct way, about all the other paramitas. So, all the other components. And therefore, it kind of shows that we cannot neglect even though it may be talking about something so simple as saying being envious is not so healthy, because we would feel that afflictive or any kind of disturbing emotions, having to let go is something that is very common to us, something that we have heard many, many times, and therefore feel that those are just filling the gaps, No, it is not, I think. Yeah. It's not filling the gaps. Actually, it's those very simple things. Yeah. Yet at the same time, Shantideva is not saying in any way that we have to become like a machine suddenly, switch onto developing bodhicitta and switch off all the other emotions and become simply numb. No, it's just trying to be aware, yes. And in this case, how to be aware? Well, then this chapter is the best method, yes. And so here it's where we try to develop awareness. Here is where, if you would like, is where we are trying to develop the Mahamudra, whatever that means to us, because we have no real head or tails about what is Mahamudra, or about shamatha and vipassana, But at least we have this chapter. And so therefore, it talks about the various components, the benefit of developing this quality, dhyana, and on the other hand, what are the losses, of not developing this quality. And then in terms of how to develop them, and so on. Yeah. So that's where we are. So it begins by reminding ourselves by saying, by talking about the previous chapter, the 7th chapter, which is that of the joyful effort. Then it says now, what does it say? How does it say in English? Upon developing the zeal, that's one way. Cultivating diligence as just described, probably that's more subtle. So, yes, how should I put it? So, samadhi seems to be important. Have you visited the Agra? Yes, some of you may have. Red Fort. Yes. Qutub Minar, or Qutub Minier, like obelix, the stone that he's carrying, many, maybe there's some relation, I don't know. Or the Eiffel Tower. And yes, many great monuments, or a wonderful parenting, I don't know, the ones that you can remember, or a wonderful friendship, or a wonderful partnership, or a wonderful student and relationship, not necessarily from within a Buddhist circumstance, but it can be any other. It can be between musicians, it can be between within the medical institutes or any kind of field. You may have noticed, and so therefore samadhi. I'm not saying that is samadhi. Yet at the same time, we cannot avoid those subjects if we are trying to talk about samadhi. Yes. Concentration, yes, is one way of putting it when we use certain translations. But it's, if you remember that the first 3 or 4 chapters of this literature, one could say, then probably we can put together what it means in terms of dedication, what it means in terms of I suppose in colloquial words, love, yes. But I'm not talking about the Hollywood love, but the kind of love that comes not necessarily manufactured, but comes probably by coincidence, I suppose, yet at the same time with enough joyful effort, one could say in this case, yes. That comes and one is simply taken by it, whatever we see, whether it's a thing or not a thing, it doesn't matter. Yeah. The point is that we are completely overwhelmed or taken in by that thing. And once again, because there is streaming and there is recording, I have to be very careful of what I say so that I don't mislead, yes? And so therefore, I'm not saying that we have to be crazy, but we kind of know, I think you all kind of understand what I'm talking about when I say being overwhelmed by something, meaning very intrigued in that sort of way, very intrigued. Some of my predecessors have said I should not use the word fascination, and I understand their point of view, and so therefore I will try to refrain from using that word. But it's a little bit close to that, yes. And so, meaning that interest is not coming from being hallucinated, intoxicated, and so on. Yeah. But it's coming from without having any, lacking any kind of dependency. You are left with your own device, meaning whatever your physical state, your mental state, the bare minimum, let's say, that you are left with. From that point of view, you understood something, Yeah. And it's not just once or twice, but over many occasions, and therefore it's so convincing that you think, that you kind of feel that this is it. Still, we may be wrong. We still have to leave that option. And so therefore, yes, there could be many examples of such qualities, one could say. Yeah. I'm not saying Agra is the best example, or many other monuments or things like that. It's just a figure of speech, But the point is, in this case, concentration is one, or single-pointed mind, focus, something. Forget the English, I don't even know Tibetan that well. But some is kind of equivalent, if I force it, it's thought. But I'm sure that's not the correct one. But then that particular composition of 3 letters is something to do with, I think, primordial, Then it's not saying permanent or dependent or something like that. It's probably referring to something that is more natural and primordial. Yeah. Primordial, not in terms of, in a linear way, but something universal. Yeah. And so now, of course, we are trying to translate that into various ways. Samadhi is not exactly the translation of Samten, I think. Probably is a translation of a Tibetan translation which says Ting Nyen Zin. Ting Nyen Zin. I like the word Ting because I finally get the opportunity to use this bowl to refer to Ting for the first time, I think, which is Ting. There are words or in various languages that refer to, I think, meaning, and some to the, I don't know, like, I don't know the English word, to the mimicking of something. Yeah. Like in Tibetan we have a word for mouse or mice, which is tsitsi, which is exactly how they sound like. Yes, yeah. So yes. So ting means in. Yes. And in order to, even from a worldly point of view, to manifest something amazing, yes, can be both comical, in order to arrive to a great, what is it called, to that what is the level of great laughter when we reach a certain point of humor? What is that word? That you tell the story further. Climax, yes. Climax, yes. Climax of comedy, and or even to the breaking point of complete waterworks of a tragedy or something. The build-up is important, and for that we cannot just sort of be intoxicated and write some stories and then produce that. Either you are telling a real story, or you are imagining something, but very, very creative, and it needs great concentration, a great focus, actually. Yeah. Focus not in terms of you're not really interested in it, but for the fact that you are literate about comedy or tragedy, you just write it, But you really have to be immersed in that, feel it, and so on, So in this case, yes, actually, the great translators of these literatures, they are perfect examples of them, because they not only translate, or just translate, but they actually live the very thing that they translate. They practice the very thing that they translate. It's possible that they become Buddhists afterwards. But nevertheless, they understand that you have to go through a full journey. And so therefore they go all the way, in order to understand exactly what that author was trying to say. Yes. So, yes, to be able to tell a very convincing story, you need to have very good, in this case one can say concentration, so that then you can tell it, you can convey it, and you can convince it. Yeah. Not that they are trying to convince others, but wherever or however the literature lands, or gets picked up, it's priceless. Because if you read it, then you understand that it's not just some fantasy. Yeah. So, joyous effort. How does it become joyous effort? It's because, as the second verse says, that it's because of that great, calmness. Yes, great calmness. Great realization. And then immediately in the next two verses, then it talks about our Shantideva talks about now, in order to, I suppose, emphasize the importance of this jhana, then what are the consequences? Well, not consequence, but if you lack this quality, then what is the state? And it simply says, so meaning that, have you seen I'm sure many of you have seen the painting when you have visited many Tibetan-oriented Buddhist temples, Tibetan Buddhist-oriented Buddhist temples around the Himalayas. We don't have in front of our doors, normally we are supposed to have, but my teachers thought it might scare off people, So instead we just left a very beautiful plain walls. But normally we are supposed to have. Yes. So that very painting is called the Wheel of Life. Yes. Maybe you have seen it, yeah? And it might seem strange, repulsive, interesting, and altogether maybe sometimes so-so, I don't know. Yes. But you've seen the wheel, yes? And there is that very strange animal which looks like a very, in some ways like a squeezed crocodile of some kind, or a very abominable frog, or something that is kind of holding this giant, strange frisbee with the 4 legs, and then finally it's trying to catch that that frisbee sort of thing. And of course, chronologically or whichever way we have put, well, not we, but somebody has drawn the so-called 5 realms or 6 realms, whichever way you put it, it's the same thing, yes. And so therefore this strange-looking animal is trying to, sort of holding onto that wheel, yeah, or hanging onto that. I would have asked for the artist to do something more dramatic, but nevertheless, it's yes. From a point of view of symbols, it's all there. Yes. So the last stanza from the last line from the first stanza says, I don't know in English. Doesn't quite have that effect, I think. Are caught between the fangs of afflictions. Okay, probably that's it. So, meaning that wheel of life basically means that it's not static, of course, that wheel of life. It's continuously turning. And it's not also two-dimensional in a way. It's not even sort of spherical also, It's just a figure of speech, yes? So meaning that even the mightiest of beings can fall at any moment. If that's the case, then those who are not mighty will also, or can be, somehow suspended or pushed upwards, out of nowhere. And so, yes, the six realms, just goes on and on and on. Yes. And no matter which point we are in, or we could think from a physical point of view, no problem, because we feel that I'm here, you're there, and so on. But of course, I suppose mainly it's referring to the mental state. And so therefore, we could think, I'm happy right now, but the very next moment, no matter how sure we are of how happy I am and how content I am, the very next moment is something completely unexpected. And so therefore, we are in that kind of, not that we are, but the wheel of life is suggesting that's the kind of state the so-called life is in. And so therefore, now that change may be referred to as those fangs of that not so weird-looking crocodile. And so the reason why that wheel or that frisbee is under that fang is meaning that the so-called death that we have, yes? Oh, nice. Thanks. Death, the idea of change, in short, is referring to that, It's not that there is a literal crocodile somewhere. But, yes, anything can happen at any given moment, and so therefore we could think that, compared to the gods, I'm more fortunate because I'm not in a state of hallucination, because the gods are supposed to be, the god realm or the celestial realms, whether it's demigods or gods, doesn't matter. They may have great luxuries and opportunities and so on, but I'm born as a human being, as a human being right now, and so therefore I can take great comfort in that and have great confidence in that because I'm not distracted, and therefore take things easy. And compared to the so-called other state of mind, which some of the state may be visible, like that of the animal realms and so on, yes. And think that we are, or I am, more fortunate than them, because I can communicate, They may be feeling things, wish to say things, but they cannot, whereas I can, And therefore, take comfort, which is okay, but then again, take things easy in a way, yes. And so, in this circumstance, then we, in short, lose the opportunity, one could say, because that sense of taking comfort is probably equivalent to wasting opportunities in a way, yes, and then happens, And so it says that there's no way of escaping, yes, and it's not a way to mock our human state also, yes. But in the next stanza, then Shantideva is basically trying to say the very simple fact is that in the first stanza basically saying it's really good to have that kind of enthusiasm, to have that kind of joyful effort, to really enjoy what you do, what you love. Yes? But now to describe more of what you love, doing, then obviously it talks about, well, it sounds strange even for me to say, some sort of space, one could say, some sort of moment. Yeah. And so therefore, basically, the second two lines of the first stanza says that if we are distracted, basically, then distracted, of course, there are obvious distractions, and one of the distractions that I mentioned is to think that we are in the perfect state, and so therefore I'm healthy enough, I'm conscious enough, I have enough time, I've got time, and probably that is our undoing. Yes. And so therefore now, in order to expand this opportunity, then we try to focus on complementing, adding on top of whatever merit that we have already accumulated. And so therefore, because of course, to develop something which basically comes in two folds, probably that's something I should have said it earlier, but I think it's quite common to all of you, is none other than shamatha and vipassana, which is a very common term in all Buddhist schools. And so, therefore, one of the first components is to create that environment, that ideal environment for shamatha and vipassana. So, it could be alarming to us or discouraging to us to think that, okay, I don't think I have this environment, and therefore feel that I'm not cut out for it or something. Doesn't matter. Yeah. There are those endowed with all kinds of leisures and possibilities, and they're not using it. We have a general term for them: gods. Those are the real gods. Yeah. Those who have all the conditions, most favorable conditions. We don't even have to look into the sky. We can look right into another fellow human being, and they may be the gods. Why? Because they have all the conditions that we are looking for, and probably they're not using it. Yeah. And so, yes, so all we are trying to do here is simple. Realize, open our eyes, watch, look, observe, nothing more. Nobody's pushing, nobody's, I said nudging, but beside that, there's no real force there, We just have to be aware of it, that's it. Yeah. And the rest is completely up to us, which is very much in accordance with the Buddhist way, Because no one is here to push us or order us. Yeah. But it will be nice if you can just be aware, wherever we are. And so that's it. And so, that kind of environment, what is it? Yes, from that point of view. Then it says that if one is in doubt, well, I'm just putting it in that way, where both the mind and body are somewhat free from busyness, yes? And I don't know, it could be a state of holiday, or a spa, or some sort of resort, I don't know. But I think probably it's better if I read further so that it makes more sense, because for those of you who have read the literature, you would know what I'm trying to say. Because down the line, it basically talks about, of course, human psychology, human our world's social issues, yes, in short. It's so strange, of course, in that sense, because Shantideva is supposed to talk about something, but instead he starts from talking about social issues, you know. Yeah. And that's how catchable, relatable it is, you know, if you read it. Because it talks about those basic things, that those basic daily things that we go through, but we kind of neglect, you know. And we think it's that's something that we have to grow up with, which is true, not wrong. And it's something that we have to brush aside, which is also true, not wrong. But probably in moderation once again, because if you do too much of brushing those things aside, then once again we enter into another cocoon. And we may have to again start all over again, finding another method to come out of that cocoon. So, in short, it says if our mind and body is vacant or free of distractions, basically, you know, social issues, then the very thing that distracts us from achieving something is there. So for those who are then learned in in taking in and abandoning what is most appropriate for liberation, what do? Is that the very first thing is they try to abandon what is not necessary. And that is, of course, in simple terms, in plain terms, it says attachment. Attachment to self, attachment to things, but of course it begins very simply in general attachment, then attachment to the coarse, rough, worldly things. Why? Because it disrupts the first phase of the something, or in this case liberation, which is that it disrupts clear mind or calm state of being. And if that happens, then we have no foundation for the vipassana or the langtong or the superior or superior insight. And if that happens, then we are back to basically square one, cycling. So now attachment is probably, according to the word, quite visible. Yes. We are probably thinking more or less one or two forms of attachment, and probably not more, because of this user-friendliness approach. But it can be very simple. Yes. I mean, it will come down later in the word, in the verses. But just to give a glimpse, is that it's the simple things, it's the simple interactions amongst ourselves. Do I say amongst ourselves or among ourselves? Among ourselves, yes, among ourselves. So, therefore, things like, social issues can only happen if you are close enough, yes. If you are not close enough, there is no social issue. And where is society? Well, the first society, I suppose, is the family, And then probably we are tired of that, and then there is the next set of society, which is called friends. And then the third one, I don't know. Probably we jump back to family, and then according to the season we jump again to the other side, called friends, and so on. In short, whoever we are close to, doesn't matter. Whether there is a blood relation or no blood relation, doesn't matter. In short, whoever we feel that we spend most time enough with, that is our society, more or less. But it's sort of legal to say that it's not a society if it is not more than 4. If it's less than 4, it's not exactly a society. But that's up for debate. Now, it of course automatically becomes 4 and more and so on. And it's the simple things, like Davatapa in Sanskrit, Chantakirti. Yes, the Madhyamika Avakalankatara, the author of that literature, he first put it in the very first few lines. He says that. How does he put it? Everything begins with the idea of, or the notion of me or myself, or the notion of me. Yes. And then from there, mine comes. Yes. So that's it. So or if we have established that me, whether we call it ego or whatever, then from there it's only automatic that there comes the rest. My this, my family, my friends, my home, my car, my everything, yes. And then the rest comes. And so therefore, then all the other emotions, if they have not yet arrived, it's only a matter of time they will arrive. And so then there's a sort of a Tibetan way of saying that it's samsara. One way of describing samsara is to always it's always about not getting the face. That sounds strange in Tibetan, I mean in English. But in English there is something called face value, you know. In Chinese there's something similar to it saying loose face, you know. And samsara or attachment probably is not really limited to just those few commonly known idea of desire or attachment, you know, which is often linked to lust or something. But in this case, simple things, very simple things. Because all those prominent aspects of attachment, one may be able to deal with it much easier, you know. But it's those simple little details that is very, very hard to deal with, yes? Because it's that face. Yeah. And for example, if you cross, if you walk across someone, even it can even be a stranger in the morning, and you're just passing by, you're both two completely strangers, but for the very fact that you are passing by each other, if you happen to greet each other with, I don't know, a simple gesture of nod, or saying good morning, or good afternoon, or a simple smile, you know, it's supposed to do a lot, yes. It makes the day, yes. And if that doesn't happen, maybe we are used to it, we are immune to it, you know, to say, or something, you know. Maybe we are immune to it. But nevertheless, if we are attentive, I don't know, if we are curious about it, maybe it does do something, yes. But that's on a level of strangers. But if it's on the context of someone you know, someone you have spent time with, someone that you feel that I've known this person for a long, long time, you know, where you kind of feel that you know this person almost inside out sort of thing because of that much of time that you've spent. So then, now, very simple gestures. Maybe the two of you are not, or the company among yourselves are not really used to saying, you know, greeting each other, saying good morning, you know. You just see each other and burp or grunt or something, and it's the most usual thing, you know. But you would notice simple things where that someone is not well, or someone is disturbed, or something, or maybe there's a particular gesture that is referring to you. And so maybe that person did it by accident or by coincidence, but nevertheless, you cannot read each other's mind. And so therefore, you're left kind of hanging, let's say, you know. And so attachment in this case, it's very, very general, yet at the same time, it's not just, it's not a case where Shantideva is just trying to say something that all desire is not good, attachment is not good, it's bad for liberation and this and that. No. He's really trying to delve into those basic, simple things, you know, that we are trying to, that we are left to deal with, let's say, on an everyday case. And so therefore, basically saying there is not much point to always, you know, trying to, well, he's not saying just, you know, disregard everything, disregard friendship, destroy a relationship, and just go crazy, not in that sense, of course. But he's trying to say that there is no point, simply, to trying to gain that face, to put so much effort to not to lose that face, and to always think about that so-called face value, and because that's where it happens. Yes, it's not about whether someone says, "I trust you, I have full faith in you, I will die for you," and all that. No. Those things, after some time, you become immune to it. But it's those simple gestures, yes, that either we don't notice at all, or we are probably a little bit conscious, maybe, I don't know. And for whatever reason, then we are paying attention to that. And therefore, it becomes heavier, as if you lost, a friend or something. It's very much possible. And so therefore, now, of course, now beside that, then it can be the same thing. It says finding, attachment, or it can be for the cause of attachment, it can be for the cause of findings. Findings, it's a sort of a metaphor for wealth, but wealth is, once again, it's not the wealth that we are talking about, It's not the dollar bill. Instead, once again, it can be that very, very friendship. It can be that very comfort. It can be that very trust. That finding, that sort of finding. That we kind of neglect that that's not it, And we are kind of educated or habitualized to think that wealth or finding is, the status of one's fame, or the status of how much numbers we have in our account or something. But instead, it could be something else. It could be the very fact that there is no more respect, maybe. Maybe there's a lack of respect. And so therefore, such types of finding and the craving for that, as long as there is no renunciation of that, as long as such desire for them are there or persists, then obviously we cannot further in a linear way the paramitas. Hypothetically, we may have arrived to the point of the 7th chapter, that of the joyous effort. But if you are still stuck there, then we cannot advance further. And so therefore, those who know what is to cast aside, what is to let go, what is to embrace, then they let go of these attachments. So therefore, probably it's a little bit more clear. Attachment is not, only concentrating on desire and so on, but it's both for those very, very simple things that disrupts friendship, that disrupts social connections. At the same time, it's not saying, Shantideva is not saying there has to be social justice or social peace or something. It's just simply stating that it's these simple things. Then having said that, in the third verse, he says, so now, for those who have great vipassana, which is based on the shamatha, or a concrete shamatha, like what is it called? Base, yes, base. Foundation, yes, foundation. Then that one or someone is able to, eradicate, destroy all kinds of disturbing emotions. So therefore, the first thing that we must try to accumulate or try to develop is that of the I suppose many would say peace, which sounds kind of correct, but in this case, basically saying shine, meaning shamatha. So therefore, first thing to acquire is shamatha. Because and with this, then one is able to develop, already right here within the third verse, it's already referring to the 9th chapter, which is the wisdom, So, yes. So, then, now, Chinese Kaduri, Chinese Gondit, Tandare. Yes, so, if you're ready, then we can practice on Chinese. But if you're not ready, and if you have to take a break, you can also do that. Otherwise, if I have not explained things properly, then you can ask questions according to the subject.
Here's one. Yes?
Dear Karmapa, thank you so much for your teachings. Do you hear me? First of all, thank you so much for your teachings. And maybe I would like you to please advise us of how to letting go of attachment, in the sense that sometimes we think that if we let it go of attachment, it's like don't care about others. For example, a family or animals that we take care, for example. And I don't know if we could talk, please, a little bit more about the way of have a medium, or I don't know, taking care, but not with attachment. It's not so easy. Thank you.
Everybody understood the question, yes? So, yes. Yes, it's basically within the second verse, I think. Yes, desire. And we can, I don't know how it sounds if I say function, or go about our daily lives within the society or whatever societies we're in, actually quite well, to a point where we can even apply the word utopia in some ways, I suppose, But of course, the moment we say, this is it, then that's the curse, of course. That's when we lose it. But it's possible to go about our daily lives with our friends and families very well, actually develop wonderful relationship and go on, yes, and making wonderful memories. It's all possible. But the problem is this mind, yeah, which is like as they say in English, double-edged sword, You can appreciate all of those, yet at the same time, it's very fair. Yeah. This mind or consciousness or whatever, it's very, very fair. It's so fair that you cannot really complain. Yes? Because on one hand, it has all those qualities to appreciate all of those simple things. Yes? For example, like I said, a lack of smile from a dear friend, let's say. Yes? It may make us hurt, yeah. But at the same time, our consciousness has this ability to appreciate that also, yes. To a point where, I don't know, maybe I'm going too far by saying it can become, I don't know, a component for us to achieve enlightenment or something. Maybe that's too far. Yeah. But nevertheless, in short, we can be, like you said, not be bothered by that. Yeah. Not be bothered by the lack of smile or by the lack of gesture, which you would normally see, which only you will be able to recognize, no one else. It's like a secret code, Only you will be able to recognize that particular tick or smile or lack of smile from that very particular individual. And because you notice that, maybe you are able to register that as something having gone wrong, Yeah. But even then, there is that ability where you can, just like how we are able to ignore many things, we can ignore that, Yeah, it's possible. Yes. So meaning attachment, yes, it's a very big word, So in this case, it can be something simple as that. Be attached to that, meaning that attach or thirst, yes, thirst, yes. Thirst for that attachment, I think probably the right wording from Sanskrit is thirst, I think, yes. In Tibetan known as sepa, yeah. So, thirst for that, meaning that it's not really, it's so similar, you see, that's why it's so difficult to detect. On one hand, if there is no thirst, you can still be, what do you call it? Concerned for your friend, concerned for your friend for the fact that he or she didn't smile, something is up, something is wrong. So that's concern, that's not attachment. But that and thirst is very similar, because thirst means the same lack of smile can be interpreted as maybe I did something wrong, Maybe, and because of that, the first habit always is, what did I do or something? But I'm not putting it in the right way still, There's a better way of putting it. So meaning that the first thought is me, like Chandrakirti says. If that is the case, then that is something to discard, something to let go. And so therefore, being watchful, being aware, means that if you, for example, read enough of this literature, or if you meditate enough, then we will be in a habit where we will be able to allow all of those emotions. Every emotion that we would normally express during one cycle of 24 hours, Same thing, nothing has changed. But we will be able to detect, did this emotion come out of concern for the other, or is it concern for me? So you're able to completely differentiate that, even though they look very similar. Yeah. That's why we say that compassion and attachment is a little bit similar, because they're sort of kind of wavy, Whereas aggression or anger is a little bit hard. And so therefore you can immediately detect what is what. And so therefore if you are aware enough, then you can detect. And now there is no one to say, do the right thing. It's completely up to us what we would want. If you have learned enough then we will know what is to abandon and what is to embrace. Yes? Yeah.
Thank you again, Karmapa, for your teachings. I'll try to speak loud. I was just wondering, Shantideva discusses the calm abiding and the shamatha and vipassana practices. Can we already apply those practices while doing our regular daily practice? For instance, Nandro.
Yes. Now when we have a course like this, then it's probably kind of automatic that we feel that we are not focusing on this practice, and we've been doing something else entirely different, But I think the good news for us is that we have been doing this very practice within the regular practice, daily practices that we do, such as Gundro and so on. Yes, it's there. Now, if that's the case, then why do we have these courses? Yes, is it redundant? No. In this case, from time to time, we need, or not we need, but there is benefit of having these, not exactly courses, but not even really reminders. The closest thing I can think of is reminder, yes. Somebody is talking about shamatha, or vipassana, or shine, or langtong, and you happen to be there. Wonderful. Probably that's the case for all of us. Yeah. Centuries ago, someone called Shantideva talked about this, and through the vehicles of, technology, material wealth, we're able to listen to it again. Not in the best way, but at least hear about it, And we happen to be there. Yeah. That's about it. And then what does that do? Is that it accentuates, complements the very practice that we do. Yeah. And realize that, that's what we were doing. Because maybe I was doing Hundra for so many years, but I wasn't really quite sure what I was doing this for. What are the technical terms for these methods, And suddenly I happened to have a user-friendly name for them, for these components, and therefore now I'm able to have a better grip on things. Yes, maybe in that sense.
Thank you, Karmapa.
Toshidele, Your Holiness, thank you for the teachings and the opportunity to ask questions. So in the text, we briefly touched on love, and you also commented on that. And I just wanted to ask, in your eyes, is there true love? Does it exist? What is true love? And what is your view of relationships, like romantic relationships? Do you think that the people who get married, who build families, they have some karmic connections? Is it true or it's not? And how do you distinguish love from attachment?
I should have passed the mic to someone else. Very bad karma. No, it's just there are no particular words of such things, the way I would explain it, or the way I would answer, or the way you would have formulated the question. For example, in Tibetan, let's say, not that Tibetan sort of regards, if you're able to translate this question and answer into Tibetan, it would not necessarily be vulgar or something, or something strange, yes. But probably therefore it is something to do with the language, the way we formulate our thought, yes. So probably, I don't know if English language is the best way to develop romantic love. I don't know. I heard French is better. Or maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Or Italian, or Spanish, or I don't know. Yes. I have horrifying images if I think of romantic love. Conversations in Tibetan, yes. Because it just doesn't exist, yes. We would have to borrow from English or something, yes. At best from Sanskrit, maybe. Well, not even Sanskrit also. It's kind of weird, yes. So I think Sanskrit and Pali, they appreciate the beauty of sensuality, I suppose, yes, to a great degree, that they are able to, like my main teacher said, Indians are great talkers, You can let them talk and they will just talk all day, yes. And you will never be able to win an argument with them. And that's why he said, such as all the great Indian Buddhist scholars, those Bodhisattvas like Shantideva even, if you happen to come across Shantideva at a cafeteria or something, and happen to debate on the metaphysical level of how good the chai is or something, you will never win the argument, yeah, because they are just so used to talking, yeah, that actually no one in this existing culture can ever debate and win against Indians, yeah. Period, yes. And you can watch political debates, the most current ones, and you will see that there is no way you can ever win. So, having said that, maybe there is something to do with how they see every aspect of life, yeah. Whether it's samsaric or nirvanic, doesn't matter, that they are able to really describe everything in immense detail, that it's so profound, that you'll be captivated by it. That someone can talk about the beauty of sitar, I don't know how many strings there are on a star, but nevertheless, the beauty of it, or beauty of a guitar, sorry. And one can be just fascinated for eons, And from that sense, yes, even in Tibetan culture, we were captivated by that kind of beauty, yes. But on one's own, let's say, on the Tibetan, by the Tibetan culture, for its Tibetan culture, is there a romantic idea about things? I'm not so sure, yeah. The only thing, we've had to be proud to show off is none other than Buddhism, yeah. But probably that was some time ago. By now, I don't know what we are proud of, yes. But yes, the only thing that we were really known for a long, long time was none other than Buddhism. And we did wonderful work with it, yes. But coming back to the romantic idea of love, yes. Yes, gods, even demigods, they are experts for that, yes. And cultures that have certain connection with gods and demigods have really good interpretations about love, yes. Well, I don't know if it's love, but amour, and all that sort of thing, yes. But Buddhism is not really trying to say, to that, and say, Thaye, it's a blasphemy, No. It's just saying, those who are a little bit, are saying, no, it's a distraction. Yeah. But those who are sort of easygoing Buddhists are saying, that's how it always was, and that's how it is, and probably that's how it will be, as long as there are these plants or flowers called human beings, coming about, there will always be something, like seasonal, And that's probably the best way to put it. It's a seasonal thing, yeah. I'm not trying to say it's vulgar, like saying it's like animal, So the best way to put it is seasonal, yes. Comes and goes, comes and goes. But we would like to put that into a box, That's when problem happens, yes. That's when there is problem with Valentine or anniversaries, yes. Because we are trying to put it into a box, yes. But if you don't put it into a box and see that it's seasonal, but that doesn't mean that then one goes every which way, But simply sees that this is a part of the human condition, curious, and is it, well, you just be aware, that's it, yeah. It's like similar to saying, should you become vegetarian or not, or something. That's a very bad combination, but nevertheless, you have to see it for yourself. What is it, And eventually not become too shy about it. Yeah. And to see, is there such a thing? Is this really that superficial, like karmic, and something beautiful and so on, blissful and, yap yum, all that sort of thing, No. It's a part of human condition, It's a symptom of this human condition, and that's it. Yeah. And if you're able to see that, then it's up to every individual to decide for themselves what to do with it. Simple as that. It's an open end. Yeah. So that then one doesn't have to, exactly as it is said here in the next verses, it says, because of course, for Shine is, or shamatha is supposed to, first of all, suppress emotions, disturbing emotions, And one of the two main prominent disturbing emotions are attachment and obviously anger. Yes. Ignorance is taken care of, but the two prominent ones, let's say. And so therefore, in order to take care of that, how did I put it? Yes. Shine is important, or shamatha is important. And so in order to develop this good shine, or proper shine, first thing is to be aware of it. Yeah. Jhana, samadhi, I forget which one is the most general term, but nevertheless, one of them is more general, more comprehensive. One of them, and the other one is more for concentration. So either way, jhana, meaning that to be comprehensive, to have a very comprehensive awareness. Yes, that's where it started. Awareness, whether one should become vegetarian or not, or whether one should become a Buddhist or not, or whether one should become this or that. It's all up to oneself, but then it's not completely saying it's your responsibility, and not my responsibility. So how do we take care of that? Is awareness, And that ability to be aware is there, whoever many they are or however many they are. And so therefore, be aware, and Shine is the way to do it, and be aware. And who knows, and the more you're aware, the more you are able to have really, really good relation, healthy relation with others, in such a ways that we cannot even imagine actually. Yeah. Right now we are thinking in ways that are limited only to our contemporary language, English is not a bad language, it's just that, just like any language, even Tibetan now, is now very limited, and therefore almost every language is decaying. Yes? So from that point of view, then it feels like we have to put this thing and this thing together, and then knot it, turn it into a knot, and hopefully it will stay that way. And if it begins to wiggle, then tighten it a little bit more, or something like that, till it's unbearable, and so obviously it doesn't work that way. Yes, it's the more awareness you have, then better relation you will be able to have with everything around you. Yeah. And it's healthy. It's easy to say long-lasting, but in a way that it's beneficial. Yes. Yeah. So then, now from that point of view, we can use the idea of karma. We can transform a very bad relationship into a good one. Yeah. A bad divorce, let's say, and turn it into wonderful, partners, friends, that you would never ever imagine at all, and have it very, very healthy. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Last question? Or is it time? It's time. It's
Ka Marjande Gara Chebe Gonjela Gonjala Nandava Jengelo Namdanga Vanjaga Sambashi Cheya Mayen Cheyan Chavala Mangarola Bechave Gonjela Koronde Yemen Dombajenjelo Gyalwa Gunda Yanda Lamana Dame Jagya Bala Lonjaje Sadalan Yonde Razone Dorje Jange Womba Nyomo Zanye Jona Joye Jonam Chanjambanda Nanen Yazanje Nagenje Zanje Vezananje Dolan Benje Zanje Ndobajo Sanye Jodan Goye Jonan Lan Jajabanda Nanen Yazanje Nagenje Zanje Vezananje Dolan Benje Zanje Ndobajo Sanye Jodan Zanye Jonan Lan Jajabanda Nanen Yazanje Nagenje Zanje Vezananje Dolan Benje Zanje Ndobajo Nazoga Jazem Jenye Chizame Gandavende Shele Bajan Jereze Gaza Wazem Anendo Zomze Dorje Jenjeze Jayen Damon Dajanze Ome Shende Begana Dandarin Jenjende Shedamba Bento Yazo Oba Mebe Unjenje Shamye Dorje Dorje Deme Dawan Jamdenje Jamye Gwanda Enjoy Yamagaya Gwanda Zaza Yenye Ulanje Toje Jenyen Dralaze Jereze La Chazalo Chowan Jenye Magaya Kondanga Zaza Yenye Ulanje Toje Jenyen Dralaze Jereze La Chazalo Chowan Jenye Magaya Kondanga Zaza Yenye Ulanje Dorje jenge jolaze jereze la jambalo Baba jereze wa danjoje dozo jobaye Yawa zeje donje la gane donve jazalo Mendon doba ma mende jazelo mo lazamo Onjo yege donembo ba me zonye jezozo Toma mene dademba miege judan zamema Sene nyama wanyombe deba donje jabanye Yendo ranjara janjaze laza nyewa lazambe Tuzungewa jezambe Zana lane dayera Simje namje zambada Loye jedan jedawa Chejong domen debaye Cheye ngolong gondozo Kowan jeze madamba Nyangye miendan dojeye Tongan janzai jewaye Zemje nala sezozo Tage zonai jezamba Damje janjan gyurnyane Jingbo medan jawaye Jimbe ambada Tanyun jen Dedan zeje zonambe Paben gole wurzendo Mandale nan zheje zhen Jenan dewa jenyeje Nan zhen jen zhelong azen Jere zewang gozondo Nandare da yemenyo mane beme mane bene mane bene mane bene Oh Noba da da nye da zan da zan de da sha da de be ge wa Anjira jawa sim je dam je ko zo be san je gong ba tam je Yeah.